Hey guys, Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. You are coming in to the last video in a series of 3. We're doing a Seaside Notions, free as a bird, stamp a stack. And we're on design number 3. So if you're coming in the middle, you'll want to refer back to the first video where we talked about the Stamp a Stack kit. The Kitchen Table Stamper Seaside Notions Free as a Bird Stamp a Stack is available while supplies last. It goes along with this video series. It's the easy button. Of course, you can do these cards all on your own, but if you want the easy button, the kit, they're available while supplies last in the Kitchen Table Stamper store. The kit includes a half a pack of these elegant faceted gems, 1/5 of a package of the Forever Greenery combo pack, the very vanilla cardstock that you need for stamping your images, the kits for the cards with all the die cutting and punching done for you, a quarter package of the designer series paper. This is the 6x6 subtles. You'll get a quarter package of that, envelopes for each of the 8 cards, and of course, video instruction that you'll find on the blog. So if you want to get your hands on that kit, it's $29.95 while supplies last in the Kitchen Table Stamper store. The 8 cards that this kit makes, or that this Stamp a Stack, you can follow along without the kit, absolutely use what you have on hand, makes 2 of this design in the Seaside Notion, 3 of this design. This is the Seaside Notion. I'll show you the free as a bird in just a minute. And 3 of this design. This is our 3rd design for our 3rd video. So you're going to make 3 of these. Now you've seen the Seaside Notion designs. Let me show you real quickly the free as a bird designs. They're just as lovely. I chose different designer series paper color combinations for each rendition of this Stamp a Stack, and it's based on the Wonder Recipe number 9. It's a brand new one-sheet wonder from Kitchen Table Stamper. This is the free as a bird design number 1, 2 of those. Design number 2, 3 of these. And the design that we're working on today, we're going to do it in Seaside Notions, but you could absolutely use the free as a bird stamp set or any other stamp set that you imagine would look good with this color palette of Misty Moonlight and the soft subtles. Alright, so we're going to grab our card kits. We cut our designer series paper ahead of time from the subtles that were included in the kit. And we have our card kit here. There's 3 of exactly the same. Got our vanilla envelope and our vanilla rectangle die for the sentiment. Set our envelope aside. This is a stitched rectangle. If you're making your own kits or following along on your own, this came from the Ornate Layers dies. It's this long, skinny stitched rectangle. Perfect for the sentiments from either of the stamp sets I featured. And then I am also doing all of my backgrounds regardless of what color palettes or which theme, birds or sea life, using the birch background stamp. So you can do all 8 at one time, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to do 1. The birch background is a fantastic rubber background stamp from Stampin' Up. This one's currently available as well. You can substitute anything you have that fits the theme you're going for. The whole idea of the kits and of the Stamp a Stack came to me when we first ended up on lockdown after the coronavirus and the pandemic was discovered, and I stood in my offices and I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do because I can't have classes in my studio anymore. How are people gonna be able to follow along with my classes if they can't come here and use my stamps? And that's what started this flexible Stamp a Stack done with 2 different stamp sets but the same kit. So now my Monday night card class has turned into a Stamp a Stack that you can do anywhere in the country. Just order up the kit or follow along with the videos. I've inked up my background with Misty Moonlight and we're stamping on the Misty Moonlight card base. The card base is 8.5 by 11 inches and it's scored at 4 1/4 on the 8.5 inch side to make a standard A2 card base. And we're just burnishing that card base with our fingertips and picking up that image from the rubber stamp. I find that that's the easiest way for me to get a full, complete background image. Now we've cut our designer series paper ahead of time, and 3 sheets, 3 different colors from your quarter pack sampler will make 8 cards when you cut it according to the Wonder recipe number 9. There's a printable 1-sheet Wonder cutting template on the blog post. So just if you're at YouTube, follow back to the blog under the project details, and you can print the project sheet and the Wonder recipe for these Stamp a Stack of cards. All right, so we've got one strip that's 1 1/4 inch. It's wider than the other 2. That's our center strip. And we've got 2 strips that are 1 inch. So these are 4 by 1 and 4 by 1 1/4. And we're just gonna adhere them to our stamped card base with a little multi-purpose liquid glue. Going maybe a 1/4 inch down from the top, a little bit of an angle. Each one of these is gonna kind of tilt its own little jaunty angle. This guy, a little bit lower, but still give that angle. And then the third. Now let's get our sentiment. I'm gonna go with thinking of you on this one. We've got a very vanilla rectangle. It's already cut for us. And you're doing this with the kit or even Stamp a Stack style if you've cut your designer series paper. You're gonna do 3 of these all at one time. The whole idea is to make beautiful cards, but do it efficiently so that you end up with a stack of great greetings when you're all done. So you stamp all 3 greetings at this point. A little thinking of you. All 3 of the greetings from the Seaside Notions, happy birthday with gratitude, thinking of you, all will fit in that place. So it's very customizable what color designer series papers you choose to cut up, what sentiments you choose to use are really going to customize your card kit. Now we need to stamp our seahorse, our coral, and our sand dollar. And we're going to use their half sheets of Very Vanilla included in the kit, so you just grab some of that Very Vanilla. And at this point, you'll want to stamp all 3 of your images. So we're doing 3 copies of this card. So we need 3 coral, and we need 3 sand dollars. How can I best fit these in, right? Let's use our paper as efficiently as possible. And we need 3 seahorses. I have 1 left over from designing this project, so let's see if I can fit 2 seahorses in here. I think that should be pretty easily done, I hope. There we go. And there's our little 3rd guy from another stamping. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm only going to color 1 of each of these, but we're going to watercolor them. We're going to use soft seafoam, Blushing Bride, and all I do is squeeze my ink pad, apply a little ink to the cover, and that becomes your palette. You're going to watercolor with the ink on the Very Vanilla cardstock. And our seahorse is Misty Moonlight. So there's our little watercolor palette. I've got an aqua painter and some scratch paper here. I'm using the small grid paper that we use to cover our stamp. We're going to squeeze the brush a little bit, make it wet but not dripping. Pick up some Misty Moonlight, and we're going to start kind of at the head of the seahorse, move into the back fin. You see that the color fades as you move the brush away from that initial placement. We're going to go back in and add a little more shadow, pick up some ink, little shadow in the curly tail there. And as you paint, the brush will just naturally lose or deposit the ink and lose saturation. And that way we can get our shadows and our highlights. I'll go back sometimes and add a little bit more ink. in my shadows. Don't be afraid of the dark. It's the dark that makes the light light. So you can go back in and add a little more shadow in some places, a little bit more intensity of color. And there's a seahorse. Clean our brush. For the sand dollars, oh, I didn't do all three. I need to do another sand dollar. I'm gonna wet the sand dollar with my brush, pick up my blushing bride, and then I'm gonna swipe in so that my saturation is on the left hand side, and then move towards the right, cleaning the color out of the brush and making a lighter shade. Then my coral. I like to trace the coral with a wet brush first, and then come in with a brush that's really inky because the soft seafoam is such a light color. And I'll trace kind of down the coral, following the lines, the little dots that the artist drew in as shadow. So then our coloring lines up with the artist's drawing of shadows and highlights and gives a sense of reality. The eye picks up if the artist drew in the shadows one place with the little dots and you paint in the shadows on the other side, that hits the eye wrong. So pay attention to the clues that the artist gives you, like these little dots in the coral, and use that to determine where you place your shadows by going in with a little more paint or by starting your brush in those areas. All right, those are all painted. Let's cut them out. Oh, let me clean my brush before I put it away. Got my paper snips here, and for fussy cutting, I highly recommend that you cut away as much excess as possible as you can before you start. And then your dominant hand is not the heavy worker when you're cutting. It's your non-dominant hand. So you'll notice that my non-dominant hand is my left, and the left is steering the paper into the nearly still dominant right hand. My scissors are well supported, and that's going to give you your best, cleanest cut. Cut a little bit outside the lines, and you'll keep the integrity of the image. I'll cut these other two and meet you back here, and we'll assemble our third and final design in our Stampin' stack. All right, we've got our little sea creature bits all done. Let's go ahead and get our thinking of you greeting glued down and some dimensionals on the back of our sea life. I'm putting dimensionals on the coral, but I'm going for the ends of the branches because it's going to be back behind the seahorse. So we don't want two layers of dimensionals competing there. I like to start with my seahorse and line him up so that his belly is kind of up above the greeting. Nothing's interfering. Before I burnish him down too hard though, I'm going to add my coral because the coral goes behind him but can't extend past the folds of the card. So we're going to have to just make sure that we have enough room there for our coral. Yeah, that looks good. Burnish those down. Then our sand dollar. That one's going to get tucked right up underneath there too. There's our With Gratitude version, petal pink, so saffron. Then soft sea foam, our new version with the soft sea foam and the balmy blue blushing bride. Now let's grab out of our kit that little half pack of embellishments here. We're going to go ahead with the pink and add some little bubbles kind of going up from our coral here. I love the little bit of sparkle that adds. All right, there it is. That's design number 3 in our Seaside Notion Free as a Bird Stampin' stack. Here's the Free as a Bird version of this design. If you've got any questions at all about the Stamp-A-Stack, about the kit, about the cards, about Wonder Recipe number 9, if there's anything I can do to help you stay crafty, email Marisa at kitchentablestamper.com. And to shop Stampin' Up! 24/7, you can buzz over to marisaalvarez.stampinup.net. Thanks for watching.